come to Jamaica, the island of real bad man. Some real dog at you, some real gang bang. No run for the fair, the not garbage pan. Step up! These are the moments when everybody gun loaded. We not instigate violence, but we believe in the self-defense no matter what. These are the moments when every gangster gun loaded. We not instigate violence, but we believe in the self-defense. In Jamaica's relentless war and crime, the worst criminals end up on the True Island Stories platform. These are their stories. Quick public announcement before we continue this epic part 2. Please, if you're not getting any notification, just press the bell and unsubscribe and then press it back again and resubscribe. Please, it makes a difference. It makes a difference. That means all of you get to get the story simultaneously and it helps the channel. That's why my views them cut so much. Because YouTube just cut the notification. I don't know why. I understand a lot of people linking me, Guru, oh, me not get the notification. You know, me not have no control over that. So please, and Squaddy, we give me that story. Bad series, we been giving me the Spanglers story. Them, you know the thing, cause you work down there. So big up, enough shout out, and big up Neville. Father Neville, him comment every time, Jazz P, you know what I mean, White Line, the whole team, you know what I mean, yeah man, Roots and everybody. Big up the Patreon squad. There's been a recent spate of bangings and knockings and kecklings are going. You see me down in the west there, so me are going to that. So I'm gonna look out for that in details, alright? Just give me a little patience. Me I broke it down go now and make you know the real story behind what I go on. Alright? Yeah man, big up the Justice League, same way. And we begin. Welcome to True Island Stories. This is part 2 of the Fivo 5-shot story. The demonic Spanglers story, part 2. If you missed part 1, we left off where we were describing Daymar Cubans and Fivo's personality. How they were similar. They were both, well, alleged snitches, and they both had violent personalities. One day, 5-shot was in the area when some CIB from Kingston Central pulled up on him and said, "Yeah, boy, come in at the car." When he entered and they drove off, one of the officers said, "Yo, I want a devil from me, you know. And we are going to dash away today, you know." 5-shot immediately started to cooperate to the officers, and the yellow-bellied vermin capitulated and led them to West Street, straight into the main artery of their solid encampment. 5 were alighted from the car and went into a yard on Rose Lane, to be exact. Then minutes later, he came out back with a big bag, holding a long, elevated, dirty AK-47, and just here, and handed it over to the cops. He also gave them a bonus on top of his gift to them, which was a 45 pistol, which was in his father's yard in the year 2017, while he was remanded in the Kingston Central lockup. Fivo was then forever labeled a punk, but he possessed so much venom. It was like Satan's seed was directly implanted in his mother's toxic womb. He was the violent product of a Thracian scum and a Carthaginian whore. But the venomous incubus wielded too much power, and thus was feared dreadfully among his peers. No one dared lift a finger against this germed infectus malesicus. Now after the dirting of Sizey, they went on to linking up with Cubans, and this was where more dirtings and plunder began inundating the venomous landscape. There was no law or order among these parasites. Chaos reigned supremely among them. 5-shot didn't like a Cuban system either. No, at all. In fact, he despised it, simply because he wasn't given enough devilers when he was around them. He was treated like an amateur, a low-life scummian who knew his true worth in the heart of the Badlands. But to them, he was nothing. But Fivo had committed many atrocities under the Cubans' badman banner. He spilled blood for them. So how dare them treat him like a low-life commoner? I am a king among men, and I swear I will purge your blackened soul one by one. This I swear by the deathless gods. Only God can absolve you from all your treachery, because God forgives, but I do not. For this reason, Cubans didn't trust him. The order to keep binoculars on him at all times was an order that came down exactly from their king, them or Cubans, and anyone who felt their eyes to die and challenged his authority would be mercilessly put to the sword, or worse, escorted to the guillotine to die a swift and painful death. Not even as much as a milligram amount of gunpowder was to be found in Fivo's possession or his supplier would meet the wrath of the Mumra. Some members of the DTS switched allegiance from Zeke and Frye also in 2015 and 2016. Five Shot and his cronies were now allowed to stay on West Street because he was no longer threatened by his enemies. An act of amnesty by the feared leader Damar Cubans. Cubans and his friends managed to eradicate most of Zeke's compatriots. They dirted Fatman from Fletcher's Lane on Matthews Lane, who was holding it down for Phipps' administration. They peeled the fat layer from his obese infrastructure piece by piece until he lay lifeless. His oxygen was excommunicated from his soul. The fat one was dead. Fivo was a key player in this assassinado. This is why the kid by the name of Jay, the man goes up and lift up a Dr. Proctor and drift around our West Street, go full them pace keep shot. Jay thirsted for his pound of flesh. He commanded it. He went and sought his vengeance, ran down pang them pang King Street and kicked up the yard where Five on his cronies occupied. But this act of gory indiscrimination only led to the dirtings of a woman called Puss, who suffered terribly in the unfortunate miscarriage of justice. Jay then escaped the area and sought refuge in Tivoli, the true haven for escaped refugees. With everything falling into place in the area, most of the lanes were now unified. Fivo started to collect extortion from bus drivers on the South Parade in the vicinity of the Big Tree. In 2016, Fivo, Renke, and another man was on West Green Street and Orange Street, daily routine collecting their little extortion, not much. Guess who that come out of the dark shadows? A J that pull up on them brandishing a pistol. Brr, boom, 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 boom. Yo, the man let off a series of them in them direction. The man goes up and lift up like body and be a fence seat. And Jay goes up and kicked up the ranking one in his legs, which flung him down to the ground. Five and another man ran for their lives. Jay went over Renke, stood over him, emptied the 6-shooter in Renke's forehead, disappearing it from the confines of his neck. Kicked him up wicked nightmare on the spot, dirting him. But Jay was later caught by the cops while trying to escape through the St. William's Grand Park after this gruesome scene, which left people scampering and screaming, "Ah!" A group of cops were alerted and converged on his presence, cornered, captured and arrested, and charged Jay for his offense against the state and against the person. The Cubans was mad when he heard this and sought vengeance elsewhere. In the same year, Fivo Uncle Rasta Richie was kicked up dead by members of the DTS after one of his members was stabbed by Tivoli Gardens pilgrims who was in the company of Gov. Now Gov was Rasta Richie's son and the cousin of Fivo. This aggravated Fivo and he declared an all-out war with Coffee, Cleto and Jugs and the West Kingston cronies that were with him. They ran to Pink Lane after the dirting of Rasta Richie, but came back after lecture and many of his Cuban gang members said they should come back in the area. Fivo felt betrayed, especially the night when he attended Cuban's candlelight vigil and saw Cleto and Coffee there. You're crazy? The man goes up, boop, and took himself immediately. But what I found funny is that all these men are closely connected from their parents. Five Shot mother and Cleto and Jugs' mother were real close, very close. Jugs, Coffee, and their crew members began staying in a yard on Princess Street, the same yard where Cubans and his friends used to walk through to attack Matches Lane. 5-1 Tian and their friends would pull up, well, not drive-bys,
but walk-bys, and kick up the yard, dark and brawler. One night, 5 shots, step out with the AR-15, you know, him get from him friend on a 2 mile and step, and him enemy them brazenly and open fire like a crash meter, right? Fivo emptied 4 clippers for them wickedly. His upside to scamper for their very lives. In a week or a couple of days, he would lose a dear friend. Fivo would on Kingston Street. The DTS had a lot of Nazis on their side, labor rights, who weren't afraid. Plus, they had another important asset at their disposal. They were natural born killers. Truth be told though, the DTS men were leading 5 Shot and his friend in the skirmish. 5 Shot was losing guns and friends like a dysfunctional hourglass during this conflict between himself, Coffee and Jugs. One night on Rose Lane, police officers took a Millennium Tower from a youngster who was in Fivo's crew. His friend Tian was kicked up and dirted by one of DTS soldiers called Israel and his friends in the market on Princess Street. A few days after 5 Shot and his friends would dirt Israel right on the top of Pink Lane, come, and bust up me in like jelly. Close to Madden's funeral home right there, so them pull up in our car, line up Israel the same man, and lick out the Jerusalem all time. Come! Pint blank flying his locks. Because Israel was a Rastafarian. 5 Shot then ordered the dirtings of Israel's father, a pilgrim go by the name Sage, months after Israel was dirted. But before going any further, I must say a lot of fracas took place as 5 Shot girl cousin was dirted by the girlfriend of one of the DTS gang leaders after 5 Shot was a boom boom and kicked up her man. His cousin was lucky she never lost her life. If you remember the Kid Cole story that I recently put on this channel, when I said a man saw a kid on Kingston Street and thump him up, where Kid Cole then pressed charges and lied saying the man pulled the devils on him, Fivo was the man in question. Now in this period, the community was in chaos and turmoil. One Saturday night in 2017, Chris was on Matches Lane, inebriated as hell. And the man started disrespect to undercover cops. Yo, fast say, oh no, the boy, yo, got mother on the sock, yo, alright, on the bad. Stay sir. I saw come back, man. I hate you some come back, man. I go for my ground, busting head, yeah? The men remained where they were. And as Chris promised, he came back with his devils in hand. The cops them never hesitate. They mash him up, dirt him. He fell, died on the spot. This made Fivo gang very sad, as Chris was a stronghold of the gang. The DTS started to take over their once strong territory of West Street. When Finger got released from jail in 2017, Fivo started link up with him. He'd be on Chancellor Lane every day around Finger, trying to get his help to fight the DTS men. Finger respected Fivo and would help him in whatever ways he could. But at the same time, Fivo, he had other agendas. Finger I'd have Puppy from locally and around him at that time. Fivo never liked this at first because he said that it was Puppy who programmed his uncle Rasta Rich's dirtings. As the man them left from locally into the betting shop with the Pan Kingston Street, the man them go so. We've come to the end of part 2 of this epic, exciting Spanglers badness, well in depth. Join us for part 3, the finale, coming soon on the True Island Stories channel. And please check out DMR Cuban, he/she story. You have so much story upon this, man. Kid Cole, Uded, all of them connect and many more. You understand? For catch up with the Spanglers badness on this channel, alright? Remember Darker Side of Paradise, $50 for both copy if you want it, alright? Blessed, walk good, stay out of trouble, youth and youth. But if you choose to pick up the gun or the knife, then there's a chance you might end up in True Island Stories. What? Well, you choose. I am Joy.
Pepper, you know the real G-thing, huh? How I grow up, sometime the road tough side slow. Real patriots never buckle, never fall. How they get to run, that's why. Back from the boy, who not do that. Boy, who no can't kill with joy, who no boy. Who from your soul don't know, wrong boy. Yo, I'm a tag. And a man bust a shot him off a pack up and board. Pointed pon him head back and board. Pop off him strap on him friend him for door. None of that, no assumption. I saw the ground run. Power, married to corruption. Criminal, bred from limited options. 10 generation. I see the said someone wanted man will live long. Name one. Things will ever be rude not done. Name one. And good honest politician. Name one. And get a youth resilient. Back from the boy who no do that. Who no can't tell with joy. Who no boy. Who from your soul don't know what wrong boy. Yo, a man better boy. And a man bust a shot him off a back up and boy. Pointed on him head back and boy. Pop off him strap on him friend him for door. None of that, you a man better. Things risky, for the misfit. Death rate fit the logistic. Chris, I want the biscuit. Be a tough crackers with the whiskey. You're not listening. Crime live here, so it's not visiting. Visitors, careful, you know what the business is. Murder, plunder, pillaging, bloodshed in all the villages. You name it, you will live in it. Death reach a door, special delivery. Nightmare, tormented images. Vengeance, bloody cycle continuing. But know you seek that, but it's no revenge. Looking at the mirror, there is no different. Man, we're full of, hey, and we know we trends back from the boy, who no do that. Who no can't tell with joy, who no boy. Who from your soul don't know what wrong boy. Yup, now a man better. When a man bust no shot him off a back up and boy. Pointed on him head back and boy. Pop off him strap on him friend him for door. None of that, now a man better. No assumption, I saw the ground run. Power, married to corruption. Criminal, bred from limited options. 10 generation, passing the said someone wanted man will live long. Name one, himself a lot with no name one. One honest politician, name one who. And get a youth resilient. Back from the boy who no do that. Can't kill with joy on the back. Who from your soul don't know what wrong boy. Yo, a man better boy. Any man bust a shot him off a back up and boy. Pointed on him head back and boy. Pop off him strap on him friend him do it. But none of that, yo, you know the thing going on, suck a seat up a beat, you know. Hey man, take your time man. Boy, man. Man to them pepper.